Thanks again, Rishi, and thank you for the kind words. Yes, a lot has gone into this report, not just from the Valuvox team, but also from the GI Group India team. And I'm proud to say that, we are happy with what we are putting out today. And I'm happy that Sonal also had a view that the report has accomplished its objectives. Um, Having said that, we wait for market and media validation, and I'm happy to take you all through some salient highlights of what this report has to present. Um, Over the period of the last 3 years, we've seen anecdotally, each one of us has seen stores springing up in our cities and our towns, okay, and people thronging to these stores. Likewise, we've also been part of the community which is, deploying apps and tasks being sent out to app companies, apparel and all kinds of stuff being ordered through our mobiles and websites. And then we have derived this comfort of being in our homes while delivery boys come and hand over the stuff that we've ordered at our doorsteps safely and at our convenience. Now, all of this, led us all to believe that there's something going on in this ecosystem comprising retail, e-commerce, and logistics. We need to see what really is going on. We need to see whether what we are seeing anecdotally is supported by data, okay? And then we saw a tremendous opportunity to tell a story, when the data came across. So we carried out, besides some amount of literature review that we did to look at, how the industries are shaping up, and some of the hypotheses that we had, were they supported or not. Beyond that, we went across to more than 1,000 organizations, okay, and split between these three industries, and we looked at, how they see their own growth having happened over the last 3 years, and how they see it, going forward. Based on this survey, we found that nearly 90% odd businesses, okay, across these three industries had actually seen a demand surge in their respective industries. Um, And what this translated into is that beyond the initial surge, 34% or a little more than a third of retailers saw that this demand surge got sustained over these 3 years in question. All right. And equally, about 43% of e-commerce and 46% of logistics companies also saw that the initial surge in demand that they saw during the pandemic carried through over the last 3 years. So substantial proportion of businesses have really benefited over the last 3 years in terms of the consumer demand that has risen. Okay, the trigger for this was, in our understanding, that during the pandemic, all of us were, locked down in our homes. Okay, and we used e-commerce apps extensively. Task-based apps got a lot of popularity, and we found this convenience and safety of having to order from our mobiles, and then, products being shipped across to us and delivered at our doorsteps. Initially, during the first and the second lockdowns, mostly we were ordering grocery and the bare essentials, okay, and we were all afraid, and therefore these companies, the e-commerce and the app-based companies, offered us safety and convenience. They instituted protocols that match the standards that the government prescribed, okay, and therefore consumers got more and more familiar, more and more comfortable ordering from the comforts of their homes, okay, and they went beyond as and when the lockdowns were lifted. And by the time that we had gone through a devastating third wave of the pandemic, I think we were all very comfortable ordering for a lot more categories than just the grocery, and the bare minimum needs. So people started ordering innumerable number of categories, product categories, different kinds of products, and they found different new brands. Okay, and e-commerce and apps opened the doors to consumers, a whole new set of consumers, in addition to those who are already buying through these apps and e-commerce websites. Okay, found the doorway opened to a multitude of products, what we've chosen to call as product proliferation. So there was a true proliferation of products in terms of what e-commerce companies and app-based companies offered, and on the other hand, consumers reciprocated. They adopted to more and more products, buying more and more products, and therefore e-commerce sort of triggered this consumption wave, if I may call that so. And and that actually had ripple effects on retail and logistics. And finally, when we gradually came out of the pandemic and fears subsided, okay, more and more people started venturing out. Okay, initially there was this way of revenge travel, because people hadn't left their seats, people hadn't left their rooms and homes, people had to get out. So there was this wave of revenge travel. I would like to believe that there is a wave of revenge shopping also taking place. All right, and that means to say that whole new demographics of consumers, okay, are going out there. Okay, no more fearful of getting out. They're venturing out. They've found their freedom in the ensconce of malls and shopping centers. Okay, and it's surprising to note that our findings say that nearly 20% of our retailers that is surveyed, 17%, sorry, can you roll back to the previous? Yeah, 17% of the retailers, okay, believe that more women are shopping today. 16.75 believe that children are thronging the stores, okay, and 16.5% believe that the elderly are also shopping in their stores more than ever before, right? So this triad of women, children, and the elderly forms a new cohort. Okay, this new cohort, okay, is also spending more today. Okay, they're spending nearly 1/5 more than an average Indian consumer in retail today, right? So therefore, the initial surge that e-commerce experienced, okay, and the ripple effects of which retail and logistics were influenced by, okay, seems to have been sustained by this cohort of women, children, and the elderly. It also helps that women and, for example, Gen Z, okay, are so they are supported in this endeavor by remote work, which means to say they don't no, they don't only have time at their hands, they're at home, all right, and they have better disposable income, and therefore these people are contributing to this fueling of the retail e-tail ecosystem. They're also tech savvy, right? Over this period of 3 years, consumers in general, okay, have adopted to technology and have become way more smarter than they used to be earlier. So there's a new cohort of consumers and the existing customers all put together, okay, do a lot of research online, okay, find what they want, okay, and they can decide between innumerable channels through which they can order and buy, or walk out and walk into a retail store or a supermarket and buy they want. So the consumers are tech savvy, they're more intelligent, they have better spending power, and more of all of these consumers are also or walking into retail or ordering on their apps and e-commerce and having more and more delivery personnel coming and delivering at their doorsteps. Okay. On the other hand, businesses have invested more and more in technology, especially during and after the COVID pandemic, right? Nearly half of all retailers consider technology as the prime driver of their business. So it's not just a hygiene factor. Technology is essential for business success, especially for this for these three industries: retail, e-commerce, and logistics, technology makes the difference between winning and losing in the marketplace, right? For example, the e-commerce respondents that we surveyed, okay, the ones that were highly successful over the period of time in consideration, the last 3 years, okay, they invested substantially in technology. However, there's a line that is being drawn by the respondents between what is really moderate and good enough for the business to succeed and what beyond moderation investment can mean in terms of diminishing returns. So, retailers who rated their technology investment on a scale of 5 as 3.8 seem to have had maximum success, while on the other hand, retailers who rated their technology investments beyond 4 on a scale of 5 said that they achieved only moderate success. So there's only so much that retailers and retailers have been able to derive out of technology. It doesn't take away from technology in terms of its power to drive businesses, but in terms of the ability of businesses to leverage technology to their benefit, okay, there is a moderation point beyond which there are diminishing returns today, right? Businesses will learn, as one of our experts opined, that businesses have a long way to go. Okay, most businesses leverage just about 10% of the power that technology can deliver, and therefore I think that it's a learning curve businesses are also going through, right? So let me now step back and draw your attention to the bigger picture, which is where are these industries growing? Collectively, the three industries are slated to achieve about 200 trillion Indian rupees in collective revenue over the next 6 years. 2024 to 2030, the collective revenue is going to nearly grow by about 75%. E-commerce is going to grow the fastest. E-commerce is slated to grow at about 21% CAGR. Retail is growing on a much wider base. The base for retail is enormous. If while we are focusing on modern retail in this report, if you include the mom and pop shops as well, India has a base of more than 2 crore stores, okay, which is greater than the population of some of the European countries. So on that kind of base, retail is growing at around 7.8% CAGR, which is tremendous. And on the other hand, logistics is also picking up pace. Logistics in terms of technology leverage, as we will see soon, lacks the kind of punch that retail and e-tail are having to manage. But then still, logistics is slated to grow about 9.5% CAGR over the next 6 years. So if we can move to the next slide, please. All right. So this cohort that I referred to in the previous slide, the women, the children, and the elderly, alongside the overall consumer base, okay, what kind of products have they been buying? So I spoke about product proliferation, okay, which I would like to believe, okay, was a trigger when e-commerce gained in popularity and more consumers started buying more and more products and services via e-commerce and task-based apps. Okay, but then it's easy to see that it's no longer the bare necessities, okay, and the staple essentials that are attracting the top rupee. Electronics and gadgets is the top billed item across three categories, followed by beauty and personal care and fashion and apparel, right? So you see, inherently, okay, the ticket rates of these products is so high that it's easy for one to imagine, okay, putting the volume of consumers thronging the stores and the ticket rates of these products to see where sales are headed, right? So most retailers have seen nearly 21 to 20%, 22% increase in sales over these 3 years, right? Of course, consumers want discounts, and Indians, we are known for, we're bargainers, we want discounts, okay? We emphasize, add to that you know, to be able to spend the kind of monies that we've been spending, okay, we are doing quite a bit of research. We need to take the research and the information aspects, like one of our experts put it, with a pinch of salt. Okay. Experts believe that e-commerce companies, especially because they are driven by information, you have consumer reviews available on e-commerce apps. Experts believe that e-commerce is doing a little bit of disservice in terms of not authenticating the amount of information that is there on the platforms. And if this is done, and if consumer trust grows, experts that we interviewed believe that e-commerce has a much faster trajectory ahead of it. Okay, and they also point to consumer trust in terms of ensuring that consumers have the right to avail of good quality information and therefore good quality products. Nevertheless, not minding the kind of constraints that we might have, okay, businesses have been investing not just in technologies but in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the spread, in terms of the reach, right? One of the aspects that is easy to see for all of us, and the experts also opined, is that small businesses and the D2C ecosystem that has sprung up overnight, okay, uh, these small businesses have been able to distribute their products wide and deep, primarily because of e-commerce and app-based companies. What we lacked in terms of distribution and logistical infrastructure earlier, e-commerce companies are compensating for that today. All right. So retail as well as e-commerce have invested heavily, okay, in their infrastructure. Okay. However, logistics especially has miles to go in terms of ensuring that the investments pay off in terms of last mile deliveries, okay, and package security, right? Many cities are doing really very well. Tier 2 cities especially, examples are Chandigarh and Gurgaon, are top cities for retail growth. Chandigarh is growing at about 19% retail, and Gurgaon retail is growing at about 17%. E-commerce is growing at a furious pace in Bangalore. 93% e-commerce businesses believe that they're growing at a good pace. Mumbai 92% and Chennai 88% of the e-commerce players believe that they're growing at a good pace. The challenges, like I said, number one is last mile delivery, package security, and compliance with regulations. Logistics is shopping, okay, and then package security and payments, if especially it's cash on delivery. Notwithstanding the constraints, businesses are planning to expand. Retailers are, I mean, all of us must be seeing more and more stores springing up in our cities and towns. Okay, supermarkets and hypermarkets, nearly half of them intend to add more and more stores. So retailers are not just looking at same store sales, right? It's very tempting to know that more and more consumers are thronging your stores and therefore your revenues can grow with the installed base, but then retailers are not being complacent. Even supermarkets and hypermarkets are increasing their footprint. 61% of specialty stores, niche stores which limited number of product categories, are also adding to their count and selling more and more product categories. And very, very interestingly, some of the logistics companies we spoke to, nearly 2 out of 5 logistics companies we spoke to, they believed that they are losing out on a huge consumer market opportunity. I'm sorry. They look at all the task-based apps delivering all kinds of stuff that they weren't or they aren't equipped to deliver today, and they're hatching plans to see how they can possibly have either a spin-off or accommodate this multitudes of consumer items to be shipped to doors, in this era where door delivery has been normalized. So logistics companies are looking at very, very interesting possibilities of expanding the product offerings and ensuring that they cater to this expanded consumer market. Can we move to the next slide, please? Right. So in terms of technologies, we've leapfrog technologies and we've arrived at AI today, right? Generative AI presents opportunities that are at fingertips, and we know what, what we know what is possible today, and we don't know what's possible right tomorrow. So AI technologies have a promising tomorrow. While they have a promising tomorrow, over the period of these 3 years, e-commerce companies, for example, have invested significantly in cloud solutions, automation, data analytics, right, for last mile solutions. Logistics companies, although they face a challenge in, closely interweaving technologies with their very complicated or complex operations, right, they are investing in cloud solutions and AI automation for their last mile deliveries. What holds promise is that 40% of the logistics companies we spoke with, okay, plan to deploy IoT technologies to improvise their supply chain performance. Skills, employers across these three domains, tremendous number of niche skills are in demand. Sales and marketing is evergreen. That's a generic skill that all three domains have in demand significantly. Technological and analytical skills are in demand. Nearly 1 in 2 retailers, okay, and 1 in 2 logistics providers need technological and analytical skills, and about 2 out of 5 e-commerce players also are in need of analytical skills. Leadership skill sets are required by 2 out of 5 e-commerce companies, and soft skills for a similar proportion in the logistics domain. All said and done, consumption and large-scale consumption also throws up challenges of sustainability. ESG is a concept which more and more industries, more and more businesses are buying into. They have this this imperative that they need to invest in ESG and ensure that their business operations are more sustainable. All right, like one of the experts that we interviewed said, ESG and sustainability is nothing but business efficiency. So it's a win-win for businesses to be focusing and investing on sustainability, and therefore more and more businesses with this cognition that they need to invest in sustainability, okay, retailers have been looking at more efficient store designs. 40% are doing so, out of which 38% are looking at waste reduction efforts. They're looking at more eco-friendly products being sold in their stores and sustainable packaging being utilized. Logistics, like you see all around, have been investing in EVs, electric vehicles. More and more logistics companies have taken this on a war footing and are investing in more and more electric vehicles. So these are some of the findings that are salient, and we found that, are a breakthrough set of insights that we could glean out of the surveys that we carried out. Um, the expert opinion also is that while we look at this clutch of 3 industries, retail, e-commerce, and logistics, driving consumption, okay, the overall consumption trend seems to remain the same as before. There's no appreciable change in overall consumption, which includes the FMCG, FMCD, and the other kinds of consumption. But these 3 channels, retail, e-commerce, and logistics, okay, are faced with this tremendous opportunity to grow their businesses. They've grown over the last 3 years, and they have a long road ahead to grow in ahead of them. Okay, and we believe that better investments in technology and better consumer focus, better awareness in terms of the kind of expectations consumers have, and the realization that consumers are way more smarter, can pave this way for the growth in the future. Thank you.
All right, Arun, thank you very much. I think it was so impactful and relevant in terms of the information that you shared with us. Before I move on to the expert panels, let me just summarize a few points which I picked up for the benefit of the audience. One is that actually in the physical form there are 2 crore touch points, and